All right, business owners, you already know it. One of the hardest parts about making a sales deal can just be closing it. But One Israeli company is taking that issue on full force by analyzing every single one of your sales conversations. Joining us in the studio today with a scoop is Eilon Reshef, the co-founder and CTO of Gong. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me.
So tell us, what does Gong do?
As you said, Gong is a technology platform that helps sales organizations succeed. And if you think about it, salespeople, being a salesperson is one of the hardest things, right? You call somebody over the phone and sometimes you succeed, sometimes not. It's very hard to tell why you're successful and why not.
Right.
So our platform helps you record the conversations, analyze them, and then tells you what works and what doesn't, makes you better.
So explain that. So it records conversations that you're having between sales representatives and clients, but what kind of patterns is the software able to see that help figure out how one should close a deal?
That's a great question. So we use essentially machine learning, newer forms of machine learning, to really understand the conversation, understand what topics are being discussed, what questions are being asked, and then it cross-references it with what's successful and what not. So if successful salespeople talk about this topic and that topic, it basically guides all of the salespeople to talk about the same kind of topics and be more successful.
So once this software, it's a technology, is essentially used to kind of figure out what those patterns are, then the sales team is kind of retaught as to how they should be approaching sales with their clients, right?
Exactly. So the system can automatically coach them. So for example, on your app, if you have a smartphone app, it can tell you, talk about more about this subject, don't talk about that subject, answer the question in this particular way, and essentially be more successful.
So, how did you guys come up with the idea for this company? Because this is not your first company from what I've read on your website.
Right. So my partner and Gong CEO, Amit Bendov, has been part of 3 successful startups. And when we met 2 years ago, he basically said, in all of those 3 startups, in order to be successful, I had to basically listen to each and every customer call to basically understand what works and what doesn't, and it's very time consuming.
Right.
At the time I was at the sabbatical, I had sold my previous company, and I said I spent a lot of time in practicing deep learning and other new machine learning technologies. So we kind of decided to attack this problem together and devise this new technology that does it all.
And has it been successful? I mean, what is the success rate of using this technology and closing deals? And also, what companies have you affected so far?
Yeah, so we've been around the block for a little bit less than 2 years, and we have dozens of customers that use us on a daily basis, and many of them reported things like in sales typically people work in quarters, so the last quarter ended in June 30th, which was about a week ago,
right.
And people reported literally the software helping them close that many deals and that many successful deals that otherwise would have just been thrown down the drain.
Interesting. Now, are obviously this technology can be used probably in different languages as well. It's not only applicable to the United States or Israel, is that correct?
Yeah, in principle, yes, although, to be honest, most of our efforts these days are in the United States. We have offices in the States, which is, you got to start somewhere, right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, you started here in Israel, which is the most exciting thing, because it's a small little country.
Yes.
Well, I guess what is on my mind is what is next for your company?
There's a couple of interesting things. Of course, most people don't drive today without some sort of a GPS system. So eventually we're getting there with sales. Every salesperson is going to need some sort of an assistant, a virtual assistant, of course, that's going to guide them through the sales process. So initially it's like what to say. Eventually it's, maybe send an email for me and so on. And eventually we plan to move on from sales to any other type of industry, support conversations,
right.
Human resources. How can you interview candidates better? Maybe even TV interviewers. What kind of questions do you want to ask?
Exactly. I was actually just thinking, I'd like somebody to sit with me and help me out when I'm making my calls. Well, I mean, it seems like you have really created something that is, having a big impact on a lot of different companies around the world. And let me know when you work on this product in the TV industry, all right?
We'll be happy to. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Eilon Reshef from Gong.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.